Gui Guzi is a mysterious figure from over 2,000 years ago, revered by later generations as the sage of strategy. However, rather than calling Gui Guzi a strategy sage, it may be more accurate to say that he reached the highest level of understanding human nature. His strategies were built upon a deep and profound insight into human psychology. Gui Guzi mastered the art of psychological strategy and negotiation. In modern terms, he was a strategic psychologist and expert negotiator. Although more than 2,000 years have passed and eras have changed, human nature remains unchanged. Therefore, the strategies Gui Guzi developed based on his understanding of people still hold great value today. So, why do people say that Gui Guzi's art is actually the art of understanding people? He was exceptionally skilled at grasping the human heart. What did Gui Guzi believe about the nature of humanity, and how did he build his strategies upon human nature? Grow Wise welcomes you, dear viewers. Each day, listening to one valuable book can help you live a more enlightened life and elevate your thinking to a higher level. Today, we will continue exploring Gui Guzi, focusing on the first chapter of his work, Bai Hua. Bai Hua is the core idea in Gui Guzi's strategic thought. What stands out most about him is the art of Bai Hua. So what exactly is the art of Bai Hua? According to the explanation by the Southern Dynasty scholar Tao Hongjing, Bai Hua refers to the techniques of debate and persuasion in discussions. However, based on the content of the Bai Hua chapter, this interpretation is somewhat narrow. In reality, the art of Bai Hua is not limited to persuasion techniques in debate. It is a fundamental strategic method, the very foundation of all strategies. The art of Bai Hua is not merely about two individuals in a negotiation. It involves a deep understanding of international dynamics and the conditions of different states. At its core, rather than calling Bai Hua an art of strategy, it may be more accurate to say it is a deep understanding of human nature and human weaknesses. Gui Guzi's strategies were built upon a profound comprehension of human psychology. What is the meaning of Bai Hua? In the Bai Hua chapter, Gui Guzi says, Bai means to open, to reveal. Hua means to close, to conceal. Bai is speaking openly, expressing oneself. Hua is being secretive, silent, and hidden. Combined, Bai Hua means the integration of opening and closing, two essential techniques in strategy and negotiation. This explanation may seem abstract and difficult to grasp. To fully understand it, we can examine it from two perspectives, human nature and negotiation technique. The duality of human nature, yin and yang. The theory of Bai Hua is built upon the Taoist philosophy of yin and yang. Yin and yang are key concepts in ancient philosophy, representing opposition and harmony. Taoism teaches that the transformation between yin and yang gives birth to all things, and everything contains both yin and yang aspects. According to Gui Guzi, the essence of human nature is to seek benefit and avoid harm. Benefit and harm can also be understood as the two aspects of yin and yang. To better understand how human nature is applied in the art of Bai Hua, Gui Guzi provides specific explanations. He says things like longevity, comfort, wealth, fame, and power belong to Yangde, bring joy. On the other hand, death, anxiety, poverty, disgrace, and loss belong to Yinde, cause fear and avoidance. This means that in negotiation one should emphasize the positive, yang aspects to persuade the other party, while also warning of negative yin consequences to increase pressure. For example, in his later years, Qin Shi Huang desperately wanted immortality and feared aging and death. This desire allowed the alchemist Shu Fu to manipulate his mind, claiming he could find the elixir of eternal life. By exploiting this fear, Shu Fu gained the emperor's trust and achieved fame and power. Similarly, during the Warring States period, Zhang Yi, a minister of the state of Qin, broke the alliance between Qi and Chu by promising that if Chu severed ties with Qin would give Chu over 600 li of land in the Shang and Yu regions. The king of Chu immediately agreed and cut ties with Qi. Zhang Yi used benefit to persuade the Kinga strategy based on the Bai Hua theory of benefit. Sima Qian in chapter 120 of Records of the Grand Historian said, The world bustles for profit. The world competes for profit. Using benefit is a common tactic in the art of negotiation. Conversely, harm means using unfavorable outcomes to make the other party clearly understand the serious and dangerous consequences of a situation. When the other party fears these consequences, they will accept your demands to avoid harm. For example, during the Han Dynasty, Lu Bang persuaded Ying Bu, the king of Kuijiang, to abandon Xiangyu and surrender. General Kui, he told Ying Bu that Xiangyu might kill him, causing Ying Bu to fear for his life. He ultimately betrayed Xiangyu and joined Lu Bang. This was Cui, his strategy of using harm-creating fear in the opponent's heart to make them accept his proposal. The art of conversation and the technique of Baihua. There is an old saying, kind words warm one through winter. Harsh words chill for 1,000 years. The way we speak is an art. If we know how to use this skill to evoke emotions in others, we can skillfully apply the art of Baihua. When using the benefit strategy, speech often involves pleasing the other party, praise, flattery, encouragement, or agreement. Simply put, say things the other person likes to hear, making them feel comfortable and trusting in what you say. For example, Zhuge Liang used flowery language to flatter Zhang Song, making him feel respected, which led Zhang Song to hand over the map of Bashu to Liu Bei. Conversely, when using the harm strategy, speech often carries warnings or threats, causing the other party to feel anxious and fearful, leading them to accept your proposal. You can also use provocation to apply pressure. For example, Zhuge Liang provoked Sun Quan by challenging him, which made Sun Quan determined to resist Cao Cao. Additionally, the benefit strategy can be used to probe the other party's true intentions, while the harm strategy can be used to conceal your own information. Principles of applying the art of Baihua. Finally, when using the art of Baihua, certain basic principles must be observed to maximize effectiveness. There are 4 key aspects to keep in mind. First, 10,000 changes never depart from the root. Gui Guzi said that a wise person is the leader of the people, one who clearly understands the laws of life and death and deeply comprehends human hearts and the subtlest changes. In other words, from ancient times to the present, those who are wise understand the operating laws of all things and thoroughly grasp human nature. The petty-minded only worry about their own survival. The noble-minded plan for the nation, the great-minded plan for the whole world. Those with narrow minds focus only on personal gain, so their path becomes increasingly narrow. But those who understand human nature and the essence of people can grasp the laws of the world and thus control great affairs. Earlier, we discussed the transformation and opposition between yin and yang. Therefore, the sage only needs to observe the opening and closing of yin and yang and the changes in all things. By appropriately applying the strategies of benefit or harm, one can control or use all things as desired. This is the subtlety of the art of Baihua. If used correctly, the world will be within your grasp. This is why people say that Gui Guzi's art is actually the art of controlling people. He was extremely skilled at grasping human psychology, thereby making others serve his purposes. Because yin and yang are endlessly transforming, the application of Baihua becomes superb and unpredictable. The core of survival lies in the weak point or key factor. This statement emphasizes that the sage clearly understands the critical points of life and death in all things. So what is this key point? It is actually the nature of all things always seeking benefit and avoiding danger. All things in the world tend to avoid harm and seek benefit. This is the nature of all beings. When using the art of Baihua, as long as you grasp this fundamental nature of seeking benefit and avoiding harm, there is no person or thing in the world that cannot be controlled. Gui Guzi said the sage possesses 3 abilities: foreseeing the changes of all things, deeply understanding human hearts, and perceiving the subtle signs of change. From ancient times to the present, the principle of using the nature of seeking benefit and avoiding harm to control all things has never changed. Gui Guzi further explains that although the changes of all things are endless, they all follow certain laws. Everything follows the nature of seeking benefit and avoiding harm. In appearance, some things are yin, some are yang, some are soft, some are hard, some are open, some are closed, some are fast. Therefore, the sage who masters the two principles of yin and yang can assess the order of all things, measure the capabilities of each, and compare their strengths and weaknesses. In society, there are all kinds of people with different occupations and personalities, from the rich to the poor. Although external factors may constantly change, the human nature of seeking benefit and avoiding harm is very difficult to change. For example, if a person is greedy, others can exploit this greed by offering financial bribes to achieve their goals. Second, adapt according to the person. Gui Guzi said, "The virtuous are not like the immoral. The wise are not like the foolish, the brave are not like the timid." This means everyone has a different character. Some are virtuous and talented, others are neither. Some are intelligent, others are foolish. Some are brave, others are cowardly. Therefore, when dealing with different people, different methods must be used: advance or retreat, praise or blame-to, adapt to their unique personalities. If you want to know whether someone is sincere, first use their desires and preferences to infer their true intentions. You can subtly test their words, then use counter-questions based on the situation to uncover the truth. This way, you can grasp their real intentions and then exploit their interests. In real life, during negotiation or conversation, you must capture the other person's character and psychology, say things they like to hear, and uncover their true thoughts. During conversation, carefully examine what the other person says, then use the benefit method to ask counter-questions. This way, you can understand their true intentions. For example, when Gui met Yingbu, at first he was unsure whether Yingbu would betray Shangyu, so he did not act rashly. When a messenger from Shangyu came merely to test Yingbu's loyalty, not long after Yingbu showed intent to betray Gui, he immediately ordered the messenger killed, forcing Yingbu to fully betray Shangyu. Third, careful consideration and alignment. Gui Guzi said, "Open to test, closed to conceal." Opening to test is to understand the situation. Closing to conceal is to achieve your goal. This means that when we share the same goal as the other party, we can use the benefit strategy to openly reveal our true situation. In reality, among people, there are secrets that cannot be shared with everyone. In international relations, this is a strategy for seeking alignment. For example, Su Qin traveled to 6 states, calling on them to unite against the powerful state of Qin. The reason these 6 states could form an alliance was that they all feared being swallowed by Qin. But if our goal differs from the other parties, we must use the harm strategy, concealing our true situation and objectives. For example, in Fan Sui's strategy of befriending distant states while attacking nearby ones, he sent envoys to persuade Qi and Chu to align with Qin, while hiding Qin's true goal of conquering the 6 states. This story has been passed down for thousands of years, showing that when events reach an extreme, they can shift in the opposite direction. Gui Guzi incorporated this idea into strategic art, proposing methods of Huan and Diao in persuasion. Huan is a crucial concept in Gui Guzi's thought. Mentioned in the Baihua chapter, Yang moves outward, Yin remains hidden, must wait for the right opportunity and understand the other party's desires. If using the benefit strategy, the plan must be meticulous, with no room for error. If using the harm strategy, secrecy is essential, and critical information must not be revealed. Most importantly, the approach must be subtle, hidden within the Tao, so refined and invisible that it cannot be detected. Fourth, knowing when to advance and when to retreat. Gui Guzi said, "One who uses harm understands the situation. One who uses benefit seizes the opportunity." This means that when trying to persuade others, you must clearly understand the other party's situation and then choose the appropriate strategy. If the strategy is unsuitable or rejected, you must reflect and withdraw. For example, during the Three Kingdoms period, Shu Yu offered advice to Yuan Shao, but it was not accepted, so he switched to serve Cao Cao. Of course, Gui Guzi's art of Baihua is not only applicable in negotiation or persuasion, but can also be applied in daily life, applying the art of benefit and harm in life. Gui Guzi said, "The art of benefit and harm uses the strategy of yin and yang. Therefore, when speaking with someone of high moral character, one should be open. When facing someone of low morality, one should conceal the truth. This means that in communication, strategies must be adjusted based on the other person's character and circumstances. This method can be applied everywhere or solving family matters, handling work, or negotiating with foreign nations. It can be used in every area of life. Thank you for watching today's content. This week's summary and interpretation of the book Gui Guzi ends here. If you have personal thoughts about Gui Guzi, please leave a comment and share. If you find this content valuable, don't forget to share it with your friends and loved ones. This is Grow Wise, signing off. Until next time.